Alright guys, it's time to learn about continuous integration. Now, some of you guys have heard of this, and some of you guys have never heard of this, okay? Now, the people of CircleCI reached out to your boy, and they were like, Joe, please break it down for the people. This is not that hard. Some people think it's hard. Please break it down for the people. Let them know how easy it is. So in this video, I'm going to show you how easy it is to set up continuous integration. And I'm also going to talk to you guys about what exactly is it. Let's get started. All right, guys. So now let's talk about continuous integration and why you should use it. So let's say you are part of the React team. Okay, now you guys have been working on this library, this framework, and you have some tests set up for your local environment to make sure that whoever actually works on this project doesn't break it, right? Because sometimes we're humans, right? We make errors and sometimes we make mistakes. So what happens here? You have all of this tests, you can run it on your local environment, but let's say you wanted to integrate it with GitHub. And you say, hey, whenever somebody does a pull request, I want to run those tests. I don't want those people to be able to push their code into my project and they can actually break it, right? I want to make sure that there's some type of firewall to stop any of the crazy people trying to put their malicious code or trying to add something that's going to break my framework or my project, right? So we can actually do that with CircleCI. We can do that in the cloud. Okay, so we can integrate that with GitHub, that automatically if somebody does a pull request, before we try to merge that pull request, it shows us, hey, this person added some code that's breaking whatever we already created. All right, and it's very useful. I love it because it just, like I said, it's a firewall that can help you from having to deal with the headaches of like, hey, we just pushed something that broke this other section on the website, or hey, I just pushed something that completely broke the video player, or hey, I completely broke the footer, or hey, this looks crazy, or hey, the forms are not working, right? There's so many different tests that you can set up, and with CircleCI, it allows you to run it in the cloud. Now imagine this. Let's say you work for a huge company and there's been people writing tests for the last 5-10 years. Okay, so you've been working on this project that's old, this legacy, but it has so many different tests. Now you as a developer, you might say, let me try to run this on my local environment. Now that can happen, but it might take you an hour or two. Now this is where CircleCI shines. Instead of you running this on your local computer, you run this in the cloud. So they can actually spin up a whole bunch of different servers for you. And then they all run in the different tests to see which ones are working, which ones are not working. So you don't have to stay there waiting an hour or two for all of your tests to run. This thing would just do it for you, okay? And it's super fast compared to your computer. Now, we are going to start with creating a folder in our computer. So I'm going to show you guys now how to do this yourself. So I'm gonna break it down for you guys because you know that's what I love to do. I love to break it down. So I'm gonna come here, I'm gonna create a new folder and I'm gonna say math. Okay, I'm just gonna call it math, right? Now I'm going to open up my terminal. I'm gonna say clear. I'm going to go into that project called math. Okay, and I'm going to say like this, git init. Okay, so initializing git. We're also going to say npm init. Okay, because we're going to be using JavaScript and we're going to be doing this with Node. So I'm going to come here and say a project or a package name, call it math circle. Okay. Okay, there you go. There you go. All right. Is this okay? Press enter. Okay. The next thing that we're going to do is go to file open on our VS Code, and I'm going to open up this project. All right, cool. Now, next thing I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna do is git ignore. So git ignore, just to make sure that our packages don't get pulled into Git. Okay, so I'm just gonna say like that. Node modules. All right, cool. So this is just the basics. This is like using Git, right, and using npm. All right. Now, what we are going to do is we're going to be using a library called Jest. So Jest is the testing library for JavaScript. If you guys have never heard of it, definitely do your Googles. It's about time, okay, you learn how to use this. All right, so we're gonna do the basics. So we're gonna say npm install save dev jest. Okay, run this for a little bit. All right, then I'm going to copy the example that they have here just to save us time, and we're gonna open this up. We're gonna say sum.js. I'm gonna paste that in there like that. Now in sum.js, all we have is a function that sums two numbers, right? So it's a function called sum that takes argument a and b and basically returns back a plus b, which should be adding, right? Just a sum of the numbers. Now the next thing that we're going to do, we're going to come here and say sum.test.js, and this is where we're going to write our test, and we're going to be using Jest, the library. Okay, so we are requiring sum, which is the function, and if we hover on it, you can see it's that function, and we're using this test method, right? And then we're saying as a comment, we're saying adds 1 plus 2 to equal 3. Now from here we use a callback, and inside of this callback we use another method called expect. So we're saying sum 1 2, right, is supposed to return the number 3. Okay, so if this passes, right, if sum 1 and 2 it actually returns back the number 3, then it's going to say, hey, the test passed. So then now we're going to come here to our package.json. We're going to come to this area here. We're going to add a test. So to add the test, all you have to do is just copy this into your scripts. Okay, paste that. So when we run npm run test, is going to basically run Jest. Okay, so we're going to save this, and then now let's just try it out in our local environment. We're going to say clear. Okay, we're inside of our math project. We're going to say npm run test. Okay, so it's running Jest. It found the file sum.test.js. It found that we have one test, and it says, okay, it run the test and it passed it. All right. Now, let's say if I was to come here and say this is supposed to be 4, even though we know it's supposed to be 3, but let's say it's supposed to be 4. Now, if we run npm run test, as you guys can see, it's giving us an error. So it failed. All right. So it's giving us an error because it failed. It says adds 1 plus 2 to equal 3. Okay. Expected 4, received 3. Now, as you can see, it actually took us how long? 1.4 seconds just to do one test. Now, imagine hundreds of different tests that you got to run. It can definitely take a long time. So I'm going to show you guys how to integrate this to GitHub. So we're going to say github.com. Okay. I'm going to create a new project. I'm going to call this math-circle. Okay. And I'm going to make this public. All right. Okay, there we go. Now the next thing that we're going to do, we're going to come here and we're going to say git add dot git commit dash am. first commit. Okay, there we go. And then now I'm gonna copy this. Okay, to add the remote. Copy this. And now we're pushing to GitHub. All right, so we got our project in here. Everything seems pretty good. Now the next thing that we're gonna do is we're going to CircleCI. Okay, now that you are here, you're gonna click on sign up. Click on sign up with GitHub. Okay, and then from there you're gonna say authorize CircleCI. Okay, and then once you are here, you're gonna find your project. Okay, so for us, we have, what was it, math. That's math-circle. So this is our repo. Okay, so we're gonna click here, follow. Okay, there you go. Now the next thing that we're going to do is, let me see, make sure everything is good. Everything is looking good so far. Let me go to settings, click on VCS, click on manage GitHub check. Okay, so currently is showing me for this one. There's another repo that I had. I'm gonna come here and I'm gonna go to, let me see, math. Okay, there you go. Repository access, so I'm giving access to that one. I'm gonna click here to save. All right, let me go back, go to jobs. Okay, so I'm gonna go to here, click on math circle, right, or whatever your project might be named. Currently right now you might see when you go to jobs, for me, you might see there's other ones that was like from a previous build, but the only project that I have is here. It's called math circle. I click in there, and then now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a folder. So this folder is going to be named .CircleCI, just like that. Inside of this folder, we're going to create a new file called config.yaml, and then in here, this is where we're going to put in the configurations to our project. Now I'm going to copy one that I have here, and I'm just going to pretty much paste it for you guys, right? And if you're following along, you can use the same settings. You're going to save this. You're going to see version 2.1 jobs, and then from there it says build. So this is where we give it the information of what type of project this is. Now CircleCI uses Docker, right? So we are able to tell CircleCI, hey man, I'm using this version of Node.js, I'm using this version of MySQL, I'm using this version of MongoDB. Whatever you're using, you can actually tell it like, hey man, this is what I'm using. Okay, so from here I have Docker, then I say image, and then CircleCI node version 10.15.3, which is like the latest stable version. Now from here, once the Docker is already set up, right, the container is already set up, we are able to tell it, hey, what are the next steps? So first of all, we want to have our project inside of this container. Okay, so then from there, we want to run update on npm. Then from there, we want to restore the cache of the dependencies in case we have ran this npm install before and it looks at the package.json and says, okay, everything is the same thing. If it's the same thing, it's going to use the one that was cached. So this is what you're seeing here. Over here, you might say run npm install. This is when we actually install our packages. Okay, then we also tell it where to save the cache, right? Okay, now we're telling it, hey, this is node modules. This is where we're gonna save our cache dependencies. Then from there, we say run npm test. Okay, this is the same thing that I did when I said npm run test, or you could do npm test. It's up to you. Okay, then from there we have some other options like store artifacts, another one which is store artifacts coverage, store test results, and this is just different paths that you might want to put your test results at. Okay, now this is just the basics. You could go even more in depth. I would definitely say check out the documentation if you need to be very specific of your container, or you might have different databases, different things that you might have set up. You can actually set that up through here, through this config. So now once we have this done, we're gonna come here and we're gonna say git add dot. Now we're gonna say git commit. I'm gonna say put a comment, added CircleCI. Okay, there you go. So we added the folder and the config .yaml. Now the next thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna press up, right? I'm just gonna say git push u origin master. Okay, so now we're pushing to our GitHub, and one thing that you're gonna see here is that automatically it's showing us that it's building our project inside of this container and running our test. Okay, if I click here, I can actually see what's going on. Okay, right now it's doing npm install. Okay, it's checking for the test, and let's see, it says it passed successfully. All right, and that's because if we look here, our sum, everything is working, and our test is supposed to be 3. Okay, so 1 and 2 to be 3, so 1 plus 2 equals 3, so it's supposed to pass. All right, so now it's telling us, hey man, everything passed, everything is good, so we are good to go. Okay, now let's say we have this already set up and everything is working perfectly for us. Now let's go to our GitHub. Let me see, github.com, go to my profile, go to my repositories, math circle, here you go. Okay, we have everything here working. Now if I was to do something like this and say I want this to be 4, okay, and I want to test it out, I'm gonna say like this, git add, okay, supposed to return 4. Okay, and then I'm gonna push this again to GitHub. We're gonna see that the test actually fails, and CircleCI actually tells us that, hey, this thing actually failed. So click here to jobs. As you can see, once we did that push, automatically everything is running. Okay, so it's giving us an error, and it's just failing right now. Okay, still running. Says found a cache, build tool, dependency cache. Okay, running through that, doing that npm install. Okay, running the test, and there you go, it failed. Okay, so now we know it failed, and we can see it directly through here through CircleCI. Now I'm gonna come here, I'm gonna actually pass this in. I'm gonna make this to be equal to 3. Okay, so it's supposed to return 3, which is fine. So I'm gonna say git add git commit, or supposed to return 3. All right, and then I'm gonna push origin to master. All right, now we're good to go. Now the next thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna create another branch. Okay, and we're gonna create this branch just to test out in case somebody wanted to do a pull request, like what would happen. Okay, so currently right now it says expect sum 1 and 2 to be 3. So then now if I come here and I say let's say git checkout, and I'm gonna create this new branch. So let's say git checkout -b, and say return 4. I'm just calling it a branch called return 4. Okay, so then now we are inside of the return 4 branch. All right, so then now I'm gonna say git push -u origin, and I'm gonna say return 4. Okay, there we go. So we got this new branch inside of GitHub. Now let's say this contributor is saying he wants to do a new pull request, right? And he comes here and says, let's compare it from the master to return 4. And then now it looks at what's the differences. Okay, and then we say, okay, cool, let's create the pull request. So then now I say, hey, I added my code. So then now I say create pull request. So then now one thing that you're gonna notice is that it says all checks have failed. All right, so automatically, because we're using CircleCI, this user that's trying to do a pull request, right, even though the code to us might look like, hey, everything is great, right, but for the test that we already have set up, and we say, hey man, we don't want to push anything unless it passes all the tests. Now we're able to see that right here on GitHub directly without having to do anything. Right, without having to do anything, they already set up through CircleCI. It ran the test on that change that that person tried to do, and it tells us, hey man, all checks have failed, so we are not going to merge this with our code. So here we're gonna say, hey, sorry buddy, not adding your code, it's breaking. Okay, so here we're gonna say close and comment. Okay, so there you go. Okay, so this is why continuous integration is very important for you guys to know, because when it comes to collaborating with other developers, or once a project becomes too big, nobody wants to be on top of this 24/7. You want to have this automated, guys. Okay, you don't want to be having to do a pull and then say, let me run the test locally in my computer, let me make sure that this guy's code is not gonna break everything. Let CircleCI handle that. Okay, as you guys can see, we did this in less than 20 minutes. It's pretty simple. Once you set it up, it's set up. Okay, that's it. You don't have to mess around with it. You don't have to do anything else, unless in the future you have other type of tests. Like let's say you want to add a database. Let's say you want to add something else that you want to test, or even multiple or different types of test libraries. I don't know why you would do that, but it's up to you. Whatever you want to do. Okay, or you might want to add an extra npm run command, right? That's when you're gonna go back into the config and change it. But if you already set this up once and all your tests are gonna run through Jest, that's it. You're done. You're done for the day. You're finished. Finito. Yeah, you dig? Terminate. Okay. All right. So as you guys can see, this is pretty simple, and you guys can definitely set it up with your projects and even in your company. If you don't have CircleCI in your company, I don't know what you're doing with yourself. Like, as you guys can see, this is super simple. Now, we haven't even gotten to the fact that you can actually set up deployment through CircleCI. Like, we haven't even talked about that, because if not, then that will be like a whole different section. But pretty much if you go into the documentation, you can come here, click on docs, you'll go in here, man, and you'll find the answer to everything that you want to do. Like if you want to do deployment, man, you want to say, hey man, once the test pass and everything is good, deploy it to the website. You can do that directly through here, man. Like, there's so much things that you can do with CircleCI, man. Just check it out in the documentation for sure. So definitely check it out, guys. CircleCI.com. All right. Now, if you're looking to learn how to code and maybe you just didn't understand what the hell we just did, guys, go check out my website, CodingPhase.com. That's what I do. I try to break it down for you guys to make it as simple as possible. You can register for 20 bucks, right? You could get started, right? If you still don't even know if you want to learn how to code, listen, build your first website with me, right? We're going to build a website together. You come here and you click on start for free. Okay. You can get into this type of jobs, bro. 70,000 to 90,000, 65,000 to 85,000, 75,000 to 95,000. Guys, what I teach you guys, I prepare you guys to get into those type of jobs. All right. So definitely check it out. All right. The average developer is making $84,000. If you're working at UPS, you're working at Walmart, wherever the hell you at, I don't know where you at, kid. You know, like this is where you're supposed to be at. Okay. So definitely check it out, man. Put in your name, your email, and your course is going to be directly to your email. You're going to see it there. Me and you're going to basically do this whole freaking website for free, man. So you could get interested, right? I know some of you guys is like, man, I don't know if I want to learn how to code. I love what you say, Joe, da-da-da. Listen, man. It's the time, man, right? You got it for $20, the cheapest that you're going to get it anywhere, right? Now, if you're still like on the fence and you're like holding on to your $20, you're like, wait, hold on, I don't know if I'm going to get it back. You got 30 days, right? You come in, you try it out. If you don't like it, get your money back. I don't want it. You get what I'm saying? My goal is to get everybody in the industry and get you into jobs. I'm not here to play no games. All right. Now, if you still, like I said, if you still don't know what you want to do with yourself, check out the free course, man. Right? Come here. Let's build a website together and I'll show you how easy it is to learn how to code. All right. I'm going to see you guys later. It's your boy Joe back at it again. CodingPhase.com. Peace.